We begin with talks between Iran and the US due to get underway in the Gulf state of Oman in the next few hours. Top diplomats from the opposing sides will meet as tensions are running high. The US wants Iran to cut back its nuclear program and end the bloody crackdown on mass anti-government protests. Tehran insists that negotiations must be limited to its nuclear activities, which Israel and the US targeted last year.
Shock and awe as the US and Israel pounded Iran's nuclear facilities across the country last June. Analysts say the attack set Iran's nuclear program back years, yet the program is far from dead. Now the US is demanding that Iran give up enriching uranium altogether and hand over its stockpile of highly enriched nuclear fuel, which could be further processed into nuclear weapons. For its part, Iran wants an end to crippling economic sanctions, and it wants to continue enriching uranium at a low level for what it claims are civilian energy purposes. Getting to some kind of middle ground will be difficult. The nuclear program is a point of national pride for Iran's theocratic regime, which has pursued uranium enrichment despite years of sanctions. A US attack on Iran's nuclear program might be more difficult than last year. Stockpiles may have been moved around and could be harder for the US to target. Iran has strong strategic reasons to keep its nuclear program alive. Non-nuclear states like Venezuela and Ukraine are subject to attack by stronger countries. Tehran also has bitter experience with US President Donald Trump, who pulled out of a nuclear deal negotiated by his predecessor Barack Obama. Iran has reason to fear that Trump will change his mind again and might pull out of any agreement. With all these factors in play and maximalist demands from both sides, it's unclear if talks can produce anything, and there are no obvious off-ramps in sight.
H.A. Hellyer joins me now from London. He's an expert on Middle East affairs and international security and a senior fellow at the Royal United Services Institute. Welcome to you. So the US-Iran talks are resuming, but both sides disagree on the scope of the negotiations. Do you think this divergence is a tactical opening move from both sides, or does it signal maybe a rift that limits what can be achieved here?
Well, thank you very much, Jared, for having me on. Always a pleasure. I think that it is a part of an opening negotiation tactic. I think the major issue here, frankly, is that the opening line by the United States is a minimum that goes far beyond the Iranian maximum when it comes to what they're willing to agree to. Having said that, I think there's a great deal of pressure on these talks. It's widely being seen in the region as the last step against an escalation that would lead to strikes on Iran, a regime that is deeply unpopular among regional powers, regional states, but they also don't want to see a strike on the country out of concern of what escalation could lead to in the short to medium term. So I think that there's a lot riding on these talks, and we'll have to see how far they go in Oman tomorrow.
You're saying there's a lot riding on these talks. Talk to us about why Tehran agreed to them in the first place. Is this about risk management in the face of possible US strikes, or another kind of a strategy behind this?
I think that's totally it. I think that they wanted to avert strikes. They wanted to buy time. They wanted to ease pressure on the regime. And they also wanted there to be a narrative that they're framing themselves as being diplomatic, but without conceding core demands and core capabilities. I'm not sure that's going to work. But it's also clear that from the US side, there is a desire to get a deal. It's very clear that within MAGA, within Trump's base, there's a lot of pressure against doing a strike, not wanting to get embroiled in another Middle Eastern conflict. But there's also a lot of pressure to take the momentum forward, to take the opportunity to really strike a blow against the Iranian regime. And I'm not sure what's going to win out.
Just talk to us a little bit more about Washington's goal here. It wants to talk about Iran's missile program and its domestic policy, things that the Islamic Republic consider non-negotiable.
I think the real interest of the United States isn't about the protests, isn't about the domestic situation as much as it's about actually curtailing Iranian capability to project power across the region. That's fundamentally about the nuclear program, but it's also about the types of missiles and anti-ballistic missiles that the Iranians have. Again, something that I don't think Tehran is going to want to concede on. Having said that, I think there's also a very strong push within the United States to focus on the nuclear agenda as well. And if they're able to come to something that allows for DC to say that this was a win, then pressure would have been certainly raised and increased over previous weeks with the move of American assets to the region, and something would have come out of it. But again, it's very delicate. I think that it's very easy to see a scenario where there would be strikes, where there would be a war in Iran, and probably many more likely scenarios ending in that direction as opposed to a deal.
We've been speaking with H.A. Hellyer. He is a senior fellow at the Royal United Services Institute. Thank you so much for your analysis today.
My pleasure. Thank you.